Students often come to me and say, "How can I learn more vocabulary words?" Do you need to know more vocabulary words? What do you do to increase your number of words that you know? Hi, I'm Jerry with Global Connection ESL, and I'm here today to talk about ways to increase the number of words that you know so that you can become more fluent with English. First of all, let's talk about the why. Why do you need to know more vocabulary words? The more words you know, the more that you can understand a language. Because words are the basic building blocks of a language. The more words you know, the more you understand when people speak to you and in what you read. Another good reason is the more words you know, the better you can do on tests when you're required to take a test, because you can read, you can listen, you can perform better because you understand more. So let's get started. The first reason might seem rather obvious, but the first reason is to read more. When you read, you learn more vocabulary words and you understand the context that they are written in. But sometimes people don't like to read. What should you do? Well, I recommend that you read something that you enjoy. Read books, articles, blogs, newspapers, anything, but read it in the category of something you like. If you like to play football or watch football, read something about football. If you like technology, want to learn more about computers and cell phones, read about that. Read about your hobbies. Read about something that you are interested in and increase your vocabulary through reading. Number 2, listen more. Just like reading, when you listen, you can hear new words and understand them in the context. So listen more by making friends. Have an English conversation partner. Watch YouTube videos, Netflix stories. Any of those story series help you to understand the meaning of words in context. A lot of people like to listen to podcasts too. Depending on the podcast or the TED Talk that you listen to or watch, you can pick up more academic vocabulary. Many of them are academically focused, and it will help you to become familiar with not only the meaning of words, but also the correct pronunciation. Number 3, when you learn a new word, write it down in a notebook or on your phone, but just write it down. When you write a new word down, speak out loud the word as you write. Say the letters so that you can listen to yourself spell it correctly. Say the word out loud. Even when you write, if you make yourself some example sentences from the context that you just read or heard, it will help you to remember even better. Number 4, make a review plan. When I was a college student, one of my favorite professors told me some good advice. He said you have to have a system for reviewing what you learn. And so he suggested that I take 10 to 15 minutes after every class to review the notes. He also suggested that I review all my notes for 1 week on the Saturday of that week. So that meant that I was looking at the notes every day after class, and I was also looking at the notes again for the whole week. This system really helped me a lot. In fact, when I came to my tests, I didn't have to prepare as much because I was already familiar with what I was learning because I reviewed it. A review plan is very important. Method number 5 also might seem obvious, but number 5 is to practice. Practice your new words. In fact, you should set a goal to practice a new word at least 6 times. Some studies say that if you use a word 6 times, it will stay in your memory. Of course, that depends on the difficulty of the word. But, for example, you might first write the word down in your notebook as the first time. The second, you might say the word to your family member or your friend. Third, write the word down on a Post-it note and put it on the mirror or on the refrigerator, somewhere where you will see it regularly. Fourth, you might use the word with your teacher or with another close friend in a context that's different than before. Fifth, maybe you want to write something down in a text, or perhaps you want to send a letter to a friend using your new vocabulary. And sixth, you might try making a video or an audio recording of yourself talking about your experiences and using the new word. Of course, you don't have to show this to anyone, but it would be one of the ways to practice. So think about practicing the words as much as you can. All superstars who do well in sports practice a lot, and that is the same for learning a language. Number 6 is about connecting new words to the location, the place, and to your emotions. This might be a new idea, but when you learn a new word, look around where you are. See if you are outside or inside. Who are the people you're with? Remember the place, and that will help to establish a connection to the new word. Also, take a chance to stop and ask yourself, how do I feel? Maybe at that time you are feeling happy about something. Maybe you are feeling sad. Maybe you're feeling excited. Whatever you're feeling, remember the feeling with the word, and it will help you to connect that word again to your memory. Number 7, learn word families. Word families are very important. Of course, all of our families are important, but word families help us to see the relationship connections with words. What do I mean by word families? Word families are the different forms of a word. So you can have a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb. Each of these different forms can be a different form of the same root word, and that is a word family. If you learn the words in a word family, you increase your vocabulary exponentially. Number 8 is similar. Number 8 is learn root words. Also, learn the prefixes and the suffixes. Many root words can become different in their meaning if you add a prefix or a suffix. A prefix is something that you put at the beginning of a word, like un, or ear, or dis. These mean not, and so it changes the meaning of the word to the opposite meaning. A suffix is something you add to the end of the word. Sometimes it might be able, or ly, or those suffixes at the end of the word also change the meaning, and many times change the form for the word family. If you know the root word, and you know the meaning of different prefixes and suffixes, you can understand many more vocabulary words. Number 9, ask questions. Whenever you don't understand something in a conversation, or when you're reading something, ask a question. When you ask the question, write the word down in your notebook and write down the notes that the friend told you. Also, when you hear a new word and you ask the question, maybe there's no one there, so use dictionaries. Number 10, use word apps. Almost everyone today has a smartphone, or at least access to a computer, and so there are so many ways to access technology to increase your vocabulary. So go and check the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, whichever is appropriate to your cell phone, and find those free apps, and even some paid apps can be really good. Quizlet is a very popular vocabulary app. Vocabulary.com. Memrise is a common app that many people use. There are so many good apps, but I recommend that you choose one or two and stick with them and have a regular use of them. Now, we've just talked about 10 ways to learn more vocabulary, but I must also tell you some things that you should not do. Avoid this way of increasing your vocabulary. Anytime that a player on the field makes a mistake, the coach will tell them, don't do that. So I want to tell you a couple things that you should not do as far as learning new vocabulary is concerned. You might be surprised to hear me say this, but I want to suggest that you don't use just word lists. Many people use word lists because they think that's going to increase their vocabulary. Even teachers sometimes give word lists. And yes, you will learn some words, but the problem with word lists is that you don't learn the words in context. You can still get a little benefit from word lists, but they are not as effective as many people think. So don't use word lists as your best ways to learn new vocabulary. And 2, don't depend on Google Translate so much. I've noticed that many of my students like to use Google Translate to understand so many new words that they're not sure of. The problem with Google Translate is that you quickly get the meaning in your first language, but you don't do the work to learn the word in the second language. In fact, it's often bypassed from writing down in your notebook or things like that. So Google Translate only provides a quick understanding of the meaning, but doesn't help you learn more vocabulary in the long run. Be careful for using word lists and Google Translate. I think you should not make these a priority when you learn new vocabulary. So what do you think? Were these 10 ways to learn more vocabulary helpful to you? Please leave me a comment below. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. In the comments, let me know what you would like to know more about, and I will make more videos. So, don't forget to subscribe. See you again soon.